All right, listen. I need to talk to y'all, family, because some of y'all out here drinking energy drinks. They got you acting like you just got struck by lightning and bad decisions at the same time. I'm talking heart racing, eye twitching, texting your ex at 2 a.m. type energy. We're not doing that no more. This is where W energy comes in. This ain't that I'm about to fight a wall for no reason energy. Nah, this is clean, smooth. I can actually function like a normal human being energy. No sugar, no crash. No, why am I sweating, still sitting, still moments. And the focus, crazy. I'm talking locked in like you just heard your name in the group chat. Plus flavors that actually taste good. Not that battery acid with the hint of regret y'all keep drinking. So do yourself and your heart a favor. Grab some W Energy and use my code Tevin Talks to get you 10% off. Because life's already stressful, you know. Your energy source shouldn't be fighting you too.
Welcome to Tevin Talks. This is not your typical podcast. We will get into wrestling, lifestyle, and mental health. This podcast is unfiltered and ready to go. The episode will begin in a moment, but before it does, go ahead and give us a follow on all social medias, Tevin Talks, and make sure you give us a follow on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, wherever you may listen to your podcast. Here's Tevin.
Good evening, everybody. This is Tevin with Tevin Talks, and I'm here with a special guest today. One of my good friends, man. I think you are a blessing to AML. I think the things that you've done, and I would say just a short amount of time, you've helped some of the great students that they have there. Jesse and Claire are two of the best around, and I'll put them against a lot of different people. And just to know the things that you've helped them with and helped them develop into the great superstars they are today, that shows the kind of person that you are. And seeing you age at different places, you can't take away the knowledge that you have from you and what you've learned over the years. And I just want to say thank you for everything you do for the business.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that.
Guys, if you don't know who I am talking about or talking to, the Beer City Bruiser. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. I appreciate the kind words. I just want to leave wrestling better than I found it, you know?
Nothing wrong with that
Nope.
at all.
It's been so good to me. I want to be half as good to it, you know?
I think you've done more than that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I just want to get started, man, and just ask, who is the Beer City Bruiser?
The Beer City Bruiser is a cigar chomping, beer drinking heathen of a man that loves to just get into fights. Win, lose, or draw, you know you're going to be in a fight with the Beer City Bruiser.
That's a fact. And just to tell everybody, when did you get started, man? What year did you get started?
So I started in May of 2000. I had me and my buddies used to goof off, and we'd get together for pay-per-views, and you're drinking, have a good time, and afterwards we go out, and we didn't do the backyard, we did the front yard. And one day a guy asked me, he said, "Hey, you're really into this stuff?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You ever want to be a wrestler?" I said, "Yeah, but it's not like there's a school," because in 2000 it was rare to have schools. You had to still know somebody. And he said, actually, my neighbor just had the news in their at their place because they're trying to get backyard wrestlers to move from backyard into professional. He says, "I'll introduce you to him." I said, "All right." So he introduced me to a guy named Jet Bennett, who to this day is still one of my good friends. And he introduced me to a guy named Trevor Adonis, and he said, "Yeah, we can do like a fantasy camp. It'll be like a 2-hour little fantasy camp that you had a bump with a rope and whatnot." And my 2 hours turned into 4 hours. And I was hooked, and I've been riding it ever since. And then after about 2 years, I ended up moving to Missouri to train with Harley Race. And like I said, I've just been hooked since May of 2000.
Man, I got many questions about Harley Race, man, because I mean that's not normal for somebody to say it's around this area like that you train with the great Harley Race. That's different.
Yeah, it was. I always tell everybody it was like I went to grade school and high school with Trevor, but I went to college with Harley. Like Harley broke down, the ins and outs of the business part of wrestling. Because as wrestlers, we forget it's a business. Because we're having fun. And we're having a good time. But bottom line is, it's a business. The promoter wants to make money. We want to make money. You know what I mean? And we kind of lose sight of that sometimes. And Harley always kept us in check. Like, it's a business. You're treating yourself. You're an independent contractor. Treat it like a business. And I learned a lot from him. And now I'm able to pass. I mean, I learned a lot of in-ring stuff too, don't get me wrong, which I relay over. But with the training that I do, I kind of merge the two, where I do the in-ring and I do the business side of it too. So that way, you mentioned Jesse and Clara, and I have a few other students. They can learn how to actually make a living doing it, and this could be their job.
That's a fact. So run me through a normal. Well, I wouldn't even say it's normal, but run me through a Harley race training day.
It's a lot like my training day. So you get there, you stretch out, you get in, you do your cardio. So we always did push-ups, jumping jacks, squats, lots of squats. Which we always laughed about, because we always thought squats was a punishment, when really it's not. Squats, if you think about it, you use a lot in professional wrestling, mainly in selling. Because when you do a squat, you have to have your head up and your face up, otherwise you get blown up. And in selling, that's what you got to do. Then we'd roll in, and Harley had the same thinking that I had with training. He would blow us up to the point where we hated everything in life. We would do blow-up drills till the cow came home. And then he would teach us. And the reason he did that was because then when he taught us, it was muscle memory.
Yeah.
Because your body's exhausted. So you want to do the little cheats and little things, but being in the ring, you do those little shortcuts, that's how you get hurt. So he would exhaust us and then teach us. And then it would become second nature to us. And he uses a phrase that I still use to this day. Like, you're mad you're blown up at training, but in your match last weekend, did you get blown up? No. My job's done.
I respect that, man.
But we do a lot of that. It was always Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Wednesdays, when Go Shiozaki came to the school, that became our dojo training days, and we do Japanese training. And Go would run us through what the Noah dojo training was, which is just pure hell. That's the best way to describe it. It's just pure
I've listened to the stories you've told about it before. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. It sounds like exactly what you just explained. Hell.
Yep. And what I'm happy with my training is I'm able to bring some of those drills into the school here. So, because Harley got us ready to wrestle anybody. I can wrestle lucha, I can wrestle Japanese, American, chain, brawl, whatever. And Harley really put that in our heads that's how we wanted to train us, because you don't know who you're going to wrestle on any particular night.
Yes. And that's one thing I've always respected. Everybody that I've come across that is a trainer, you guys all train differently. And then you're right way, always been good. And you got a different mindset. And see, somebody like you to be able to train with such a legend, you can carry that literally anywhere. Like you said, you can train anybody virtually.
Yeah. It took me a while to get confidence as a trainer. So I just didn't feel like it was imposter syndrome, I really didn't hit my stride till moving here, and training here at the AML Pro Wrestling Training Center. That's where I really got my stride, my confidence. Because in Ring of Honor, I'd go to the dojo and I'd be like a guest coach and stuff like that, but I would never really ran it. You know what I mean? So I got to learn from, Delirious and Bubba Ray and Joey Mercury and stuff like that. Moving here really gave me the confidence, and then watching people like Jesse, people like Clara, going out and applying the stuff they're learning. And not only that, but they're being very successful doing it. They're two of the hardest working people on the indies today. And that's only a quarter of what we got here. You know what I mean? I have General Pickle, Will McGuire, Braden, Pretty Boy Braden, Bailey. I mean, they're out on the road every weekend wrestling. You know what I mean? They come in and, all right, how was it? Let's watch these matches. Let's break it down. and it's good because I know all the promoters are pretty much working for, so they'll send me messages like, hey, your kid did really good. And that's a good feeling as a coach. You know what I mean? Like, oh, good. They're doing what what Harley put into my head is in their head. Jesse told you, but he had a picture in Japan where he was at a Japanese steakhouse, and it's a picture of Harley, and then next to Harley was a picture of me. And I said, put your picture up there because that's the legacy, from Harley to me to him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It really is. And like you just said, I think we can both agree, like Carolinas in general, the wrestling scene is out of this world. It is talent riddled all through the Carolinas, Winston-Salem, Charlotte, Greensboro, High Point. It's really everywhere. And again, that's kudos to you guys because y'all are putting in the work and y'all are giving the knowledge that whether it's you, LeBron Cozone, you guys are teaching these kids, even myself, Jesse, Clara, Logan Quindell, General Pickle, everybody you just named. And it's showing because you can treat these guys like your own babies. Get them everything you got and then send them on the road. And these guys are going from state to state, showing everybody what AML is. They don't have to know exactly what AML is until your students walk into that building, and then they know.
Yeah, and coming from the Midwest, I always tell people in the Midwest because I still tour, still wrestle in the Midwest. I say, hey, how do we get to the next step? I say, move out of the Midwest, go to the East Coast, go to North Carolina, go to South Carolina, go to Philly. Go get out of the Midwest because the Midwest, there's good wrestlers there. Don't get me wrong, but the wrestling scene here is more on fire and more on the radar of all the big companies because you have generational talent teaching these kids. You know what I mean? And then you have these kids going out with Javon Evans, Jackson Drake, Sean Legacy. You know what I mean? Like these guys going out and killing it. And you have the guys, NWA, you have Jack and Clara and Colby. And it's just like, here is the hotbed of wrestling, and it's because it's because of the talent that's here. And the guys, like you said, the guys teaching them. You have Caprice Coleman, who's a current roster member of AEW, teaching kids. You know what I mean? Like he's literally giving them like, here's what you need to do. And then not only that, but everybody's willing to learn and they're willing to apply it. Where in the Midwest, oh yeah, I did your seminar, and then I see them a month later. It's like you didn't do anything. Like you're still, we're out here. You coach somebody, you teach them something, you watch them wrestle again. Oh, cool, they fixed that. You know what I mean? And it shows.
And that's people that run seminars, and like you just said, you see them months later, you can tell instantly if they actually took what you taught them and applied. You see the things, you run the seminars and you have them doing drills, doing promos. You can tell them exactly what to fix. Now, y'all are always watching. Y'all see it. It's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's Twitter, X. You guys share and you watch it. Okay, he did learn or she did learn. And then you see him doing some goofy mess and it's like, no, they were just there just to be there, just to say, hey, I went to a Beer City Bruiser seminar. I went to a Caprice Coleman seminar. Like Caprice Coleman was the very first seminar I went to.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Caprice once a month with Wrestling Evolution because we're both producers there.
Yes, sir.
And we'll share training stories like, oh, this drill really worked, or try this drill, or hey, I'm having a hard time teaching the kids this. Because as coaches, we're not perfect. And I have the firm belief I take the coaching as I do in my career, where I'm always learning. Steve Carino's another one. I will talk to Steve on a weekly basis, like, hey man, like, what do I need these kids to be focusing on? Like, what is some of the complaints you're hearing up there? So I can teach them not to do that, so that when they finally get that tryout, which everyone's going to get, they impress them. And it also makes me a better coach. It makes me a better trainer. I'm evolving.
Yeah. And the things, a lot of people think that they know people, but it's just, I know just because I've been around you and I've heard the conversations, you're plugged in everywhere. And the thing about it is, if you take these group of people that are learning every single week from you, and they're applying it to themselves. They don't have to be around you. Like I said, everybody that comes out of the AML school, they're respectful. You can put them in the locker room, and you don't have to worry about any shenanigans. And they come to help. They help set up. They leave. Nothing negative. They're going to give you everything they got. You're going to go home. You're going to get a good report about them. You already know that. Yeah. So again, that's a thank you to you for doing exactly what you love to do, and it shows through your people. So thank you.
Thank you. I learned it from Harley. Training with Harley, we trained in a small town. The school's in Troy, Missouri now, but it used to be in a little town called Eldon, which had 4 bars, a thrift store, a gym, and a wrestling school. Everybody knew everybody. Mm-hmm. And we learned really quick, everyone knows you're a Harley guy. And so, we got drunk a couple times, got some bar fights and stuff like that. They wouldn't call the police, they'd call Harley. That would be like your dad or your mom coming to pick you up. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, don't call him. Call the cops. Like, arrest us. Don't call him. But it taught us really quick that your reputation enters the room before you do. Mm-hmm. And not only did our reputation enter the room, but his did. Yeah. And he worked for years. I mean, look, you were talking about how I get to hear Harley stories. You know what I mean? Like, he passed away almost 7 to 8 years ago, and it's like his reputation is still entering the room before he does. Mm-hmm. And so I try to really relay that across to these kids. Like, there's a right way and a wrong way to act in a locker room. And you're going to get more attention acting the wrong way, but it's not the attention you want.
Exactly.
And not only that, but I'm going to get the attention. And if I'm going to put my name on you, I want to be able to trust you that if I'm not there, you're representing me in the school as best as you can.
1,000%.
And I'm happy to say that's what they do. I love hearing the reports. And I've gotten somewhere, I've had to sit down with students and hey, I heard this happen over the weekend. Tell me your side. Let me hear it, because everything can be a teaching moment.
Most definitely. And it's not going to be a secret. You're going to hear about it. Like, regardless if they tell you, you're going to hear about it.
Yep. And I always tell everybody too, and you've heard me say this, if I'm giving you feedback on a match or a promo, it's nothing personal. Mm-hmm. If you want me to personally attack you, I can personally attack you. This is just professional wrestling. Exactly. This is just what I think you need to work on to be better. Exactly. It has nothing to do with personal. I could be personal. I've been in toxic situations. I've acted toxically, and it doesn't work. No reason for it. Wrestling doesn't get better by being toxic. Wrestling gets better by being honest and telling somebody not only what they did wrong, but how they can improve on it.
That's facts. So if you had to say, I want to ask, what is your fondest memory of Mr. Harley Race?
Oh, God. So Harley found out I could speak Carney, the old wrestling language. Mm-hmm. And he got excited because it's a dying art. We're at training, and every Thursday in the summertime, him and BJ, his wife, they'd go to the local bar, Buzzers, and they'd be in a little like get together poker tournament. But we'd be at training. Well, one day we're at training and the phone rings and it's Harley, and they tells the trainer, I want to talk to Bruiser. I said, okay. So hey, Harley. He says, hey, you're done training for the night. Come on down to Buzzers. I said, all right, yeah, boss. So I told the trainer, hey, Harley wants me to go to Buzzers for some reason, and okay, cool. So went down to Buzzers. I'm like, what's up, Harley? He's like, I entered you into this tournament. You're going to lose first round. I said, what? You're going to lose first round because I'm going to lose first round. And then we're going to sit at that table because BJ is going to go all the way to the end and win it. And I don't want to be bored. And we're going to drink beer and we're going to talk about everybody in Carney. I said, okay. So we ended up losing the first round, sitting down, and then drinking beer and scotch all night, talking in Carney about people. And it was one of the funnest times I had. He teach me too, but it was just so much fun because he got so excited that I could speak Carney and nobody else could. And anytime we go someplace, he'd yell at me in something in Carney, and we just giggle. And it was like our little thing, It was so much fun. It's one of the many memories I have of him, but it was just so much fun,
Yeah, man. I already know it's a blast. I've heard stories. And I know, just like from what you tell me, every time you start talking about him, you start smiling, you get them laughing. So I know that whatever he said stuck with you in the memories. I just know it's going to live with you. Sure.
Well, he always took care of us. He always called us his kids. Just to show you how big of a heart he had, moving down there, wrestling was my only job. I'd maybe waiter or something like that, but I was focused on wrestling. And he got us hooked up with these low-income apartments where we only paid $12 a month for rent, but we had to pay utilities.
You say 12?
$12. Yep.
Jesus Christ.
And I had one time where I couldn't afford my electric bill, and so my power got shut off. So I ended up going to training. I didn't say anything to anybody, Went to training, did the training, got some food with the boys, went back to my apartment thinking, all right, well, the power's off. I'm just going to, go to sleep, whatever. And I get back and my power's back on. And it turns out, without him telling anybody, he went and paid the electric bill for me so that I could have power. And he never asked for a dime back. He never asked for anything. He didn't even acknowledge that he did it. He just did it out of the kind, because he knew that I was, 8 to 10 hours from home, struggling, trying to make it. And he just wanted to help. And that shows you the kind of man he was. He never asked for thank you. He never asked for payback. He didn't want a pat on the back. He just wanted me to be taken care of. And that's the type of man he was.
That's awesome. It really is. So I got a question, because I reached out to people and just asked them, give me some questions to ask Beer City. How long have you had the keg that you use in your entrance, and where did you exactly get it from?
So the keg originated in Philadelphia at the ECW arena. Not the keg I currently have. It was, the way it all came about was for my first Top Prospect tournament, I was talking with Steve Carino. And he said, man, you this character, you're paying homage to the Crusher from AWA. I said, yeah. Because you need a cigar and a keg. I said, all right, yeah, I'll do that. Well, we couldn't find a keg in the building in Nashville. So I found a buddy of mine went and got a cigar, but it was like a really old cigar. It crumbled and it was disgusting. So we're in Philly and he goes, hey, did you find a keg? I said, no. Well, the ECW arena had an empty one. So that's what I used. Mm-hmm. Well, the first couple times on TV was whatever the building we were at would have a keg. Well, I'm at a trade show with a local independent promoter, and I'm helping them try to sell wrestling shows. And Miller Lite is there. And the salesman for Miller Lite had just seen one of my Ring of Honor matches. Mm-hmm. Said, hey, what do you do with the keg? Where does that come from? So I explained to him the whole story. He goes, well, here, you can have this. So he gave me the keg that I currently came out with.
The smaller one, right?
The little one, yeah, little pony keg. So I would travel with that, and then Ring of Honor's like, we're just gonna build a spot on the truck. So it was funny. If I had the picture, I'd show it. But Bird, the guy who used to run the truck for Ring of Honor, took a picture of the back and then made a little box, and it said Bruiser's Keg. So after every show, they'd slide my keg in there, and then when I get to the building, I'd find Bird and go, "Where's my keg at?" You go, "Oh, it's over there," and then I'd go and find the keg. And then when Ring of Honor shut down, I thought it was gone forever. And Ian, we called him Irish Ian, he was the accountant for Ring of Honor. He was cleaning the warehouse before AEW took everything. And he goes, hey, do you want this? And he sent me a picture. I said, yeah. So he ended up shipping it to me. And now it sits in my office because I don't want to – it's more of a memorabilia for me now. Uh-huh. I can look at each dent, each blood stain, and brings back a memory of Ring of Honor. And it's been all over the world, and I just, so Miller Lite actually gave it to me.
That's awesome, man. Seriously. Yeah. So in your personal opinion, what does pro wrestling need right now in general?
I think pro wrestling needs more realism. I think pro wrestling needs actual good guys and bad guys. So many guys nowadays are afraid to be heels. They're afraid to be bad guys because they're afraid they're not going to sell merch after the show. I guarantee you, I have been the shittiest heel of all heels, and I still sell merch after shows. Mm-hmm. The fans want a good guy and a bad guy to cheer. And ever since Stone Cold, great performer, but he kind of made being a heel a tweener, if you would, be cool. And I think we need to go back to, if you look how successful Roman Reigns was through COVID, was because he was a true heel. Mm-hmm. He didn't do what he didn't try to be cool. he was a heel.
Mhm.
And I think that's what we need in professional wrestling. We need guys that are okay with getting egg on their face. They're okay with being hated.
Mhm.
They don't worry about doing cool, flashy moves. They worry more about getting the crowd pissed off. You know, I think we need to get back to that where you have those, because like nowadays you can't really point and go, oh, he's a real heel. Nobody likes him. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we need, because fans come to wrestling because they want to boo and cheer. And if we're all doing the same cool stuff, they're not going to boo and cheer. But if you have a guy doing cool stuff against a guy who isn't hitting all the cool stuff, he's more of a dick, they're going to cheer, you know? I just wrestled Drew Hood Sunday,
Mhm.
and I told him, I said, the point of this match is your first time here at this company. I'm already over as a babyface. I want to get you over as a heel. Don't do anything cool. Let's do this story. And they hated him by the end of it. But
Mhm.
guess what? He made an impression.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it just shows you that you can still be a true heel and still make money.
Drew is good. I appreciate Drew. The first time I wrestled him one-on-one actually was at Future Stars up here, and he did amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at JAC as a heel, he's not doing cool stuff. He's making sure people hate him, you know?
That's
And I think that's why he's getting booked everywhere, because a guy like Drew, a guy like Jack, you could throw in the ring, anybody in the ring, and they'll be an instant babyface, you
Mhm.
know? And it's easier. So you could put young kids with them. They'll learn something, but they'll also get the feel of what it's like to be over, you know?
And just talk about Roman Reigns, because I mean everybody knows who Roman Reigns is. If you go back to before COVID, when his cancer was really affecting him, around that time when he became champion, when he finally got the championship, because he had a fight for years to actually get the belt. When he did, it went stale immediately. He's getting the booze. John Cena treatment. We love you, but we hate you at the same time. And then the cancer hit, and then automatically that sentiment, we love you, everybody's crying. So he goes away. He comes back, music hits. Oh my gosh, Roman Reigns is back. I'm a heel now.
Yeah.
I'm going to really make you hate me. I made you love me so much. Now I'm going to make you hate me. He did it for so many years after that. And again, I like to use that as an example because it was like really first nature to him.
Yeah.
So
he revolutionized wrestling in COVID era. You know what I mean? And he was champion for what, 4 years, 5 years or something like that?
Yeah.
When's the last time you could say that going back to before Hogan? You know what I mean? I mean, what was the running joke? Wasn't it Big Show flip-flopping heel turns, and every week WCW would have a new champion type thing? You know what I mean? Like, that's because he sat back, what do I got to do to not be stale? And it was, I got to get him to hate me. And when they hate me, then they start liking me. I got to get them to hate me even more.
Mm-hmm.
And it made stars.
It did.
Yeah.
And see, the one thing with me that I noticed, Roman wasn't the best talker when he first came, and everybody knows that he was not the best talker. But when he did the heel turn, everything about Roman changed. His presence, and I always go back to Caprice Coleman about this because he told me this. Well, he did a seminar, he taught everybody, but the facial expressions that you use during promos, like little simple things like that, you could see the effectiveness in Roman's face as he did these promos. Like, he's talking his shit, but at the same time, you're looking at him, you're just like, dude, will he say God mode? Like, look at this dude.
Yeah.
He looks the part, he talks the part, and he can go in there. Roman doesn't have a huge repertoire of moves.
Right.
Ones that he used are effective.
Yep.
And that's all it was.
And everything he did in his matches made some. He moved so slow during his heat because he didn't have to. He didn't have to do a bunch of stuff. I go back to that one promo right after he turned, where anytime he picked the microphone up to his mouth, the crowd would boo.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up just leaving the ring. And everyone's like, well, why didn't he say something? He didn't have to. He got the job done.
I don't know. Do you remember Mania? You remember he beat the Undertaker?
Yeah.
That Monday Night Raw, he comes down. He's just holding the mic. This is my yard now, and just walks off. I was like, I don't know what the hell that was. But he's different.
Exactly. Yep. And that's the thing too about wrestling is that we got to figure out ways to be different. Mm-hmm. I have a saying now where it's indie-rific, and all kids come in here because they want to, Brian or Tracy to look at them, and they'll say, oh, go to Bruiser, let him take a look at you, and he'll let us know, and they'll do a match, and I'll be like, okay, well, that looks like every other indie match on the card.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it different? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many European uppercuts I see, how many, Kenny, whatever the flavor of the month is for wrestling moves, whatever Kenny Omega hit that week on wrestling, all the indie guys do it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not saying you can't do moves, but it's like, do something that's your own. Take it and make it your own. You know what I mean? And don't be like every other indie guy. Because why would I hire you when I can just get this guy and he's probably cheaper than you are?
No, I definitely agree with that, man. That's really dope. Oh, this is a good one right here. What do you think the biggest difference between indie wrestling and wrestling on TV?
The biggest difference is what I just said. The biggest difference is it's different. Indie wrestling, you have between 5 and 12 matches, and they're all the same thing. Nobody really has a character on the indies anymore, and those that do have a character on their entrance and on their exit, but not during the match.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch TV wrestling, it's all about character. The agents are, making sure that there's no moves that are repeated. You have individual characteristics. Every match is different. You know what I mean? Where on indie wrestling, like I said, nobody watches the card. I always preach to my students, watch the matches before you and be different than them. Mm-hmm. If you plan on working the head the whole match and the first match goes out and does a headlock takeover, change it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If this guy's throwing, 4 super kicks, don't throw 1. Make yourself different. And when I agent matches, I get kids that get mad at me because I'll be like, oh, you can't do that spot because they're doing it in the first match. Mm-hmm. Well, I've been doing it this long. I don't care. Nobody knows who you are. You know what I mean? Change it because they're doing it. And I'm not telling them, again, it's not a personal thing. I just want them to be different. I want it to when my job as a producer is the matches that I'm producing, I want the promoter to come back and go, that match knocked it out of the park. Mm-hmm. And the way you do that is you're different. You do your character stuff. I have a pet project in Wrestling Evolution with Bash Caliban where they said that he couldn't be a heel. And I said, all right, bet. If he can't be a heel in 6 months, you can fire me as a producer. And I've been with Wrestling Evolution now for almost a year and a half. You know what I mean? And he's their top heel. Mm-hmm. And it all comes down to Bash being coachable, Bash being able to listen, Bash not having an ego, and making himself different than everybody else on the card. And that's what needs to happen. That's what the difference is. When you watch TV, there's only one Penta. There's only one Dominic Mysterio. Mm-hmm. Everyone was booing Danhausen when he came out because he doesn't fit the mold. Well, there's only one Danhausen.
That's facts.
You know what I mean? But if you go on the indies, TDT, you've been on the indies. You can look at one guy and there's 6 of the same guy in the locker room wearing the pants with the belt loops that are doing 450s and look like they kind of looked in the gym, but maybe not. And, they're doing the same exact spots that everybody else is doing.
Facts. That's a fact. This is a very random one, but how long were you dealing with your hip pain before you finally ended up getting surgery?
So this is an interesting story. So when I signed with Ring of Honor, I had gone the week after I signed. So the ink is barely dry. I was having back problems. And I figured, it's every wrestler has back problems. So I went to my doctor and I said, I'm just having some back problems. I want to make sure it's nothing major. So she took x-rays and she said, you need to see an orthopedic surgeon. So I went to the ortho and he says, yeah, your hip's dead. You need surgery. You need it replaced. I said, well, that's not happening. I said, how long can I put it off? Because I just signed a contract. I just literally signed a life-changing deal. It's going to change not only my life and my family's lives. And he said, you could put it off for 5 years. I said, okay. That was in 2015. I didn't have surgery until 3 years ago, so 2023. So for 8 years, I was wrestling with the bad hip. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And I mean, you were there. You've worked me a couple times with it. There were certain things I just couldn't do. Mm-hmm. But as wrestlers, we learn to deal with the pain. And like I said, I had it for about 8 years. And then I remember I sat down with my wife and I said, I'm sick of being in pain. Let's get this taken care of. and I didn't know if it'd be the end of my career or not. But I just, I was training here at the school, and I'm like, well, if I can't wrestle anymore, at least I can train, and at least I can be a part of it. And Brian had already talked to me about producing for AML, so at least I have a career in wrestling, just not in ring.
Yeah.
And I went and had the surgery, and I woke up and I felt a lot better, and now I'm going as hard as I did back then. But 8 years I was in constant pain, and couldn't walk, couldn't move, and I developed a pill addiction, which I'm free and clear of now, which I hid well from everybody, but I was just always in pain, But now, since my surgery, I haven't touched an opioid since then, and I'm just feeling great.
That's great, man. And like in general, how do you feel nowadays? Like any pain at all, or is it?
No pain in the hip whatsoever, just normal aches and pains as a professional wrestler. My back's stiff. After the Texas death match with Jesse, my whole body hurt. But it's normal. It's just normal wrestling aches and pains. It's not injured. And the difference. For the fans listening, there's a difference between hurt and injured.
Mm-hmm.
And working hurt, we all do, but working injured sucks. And you've experienced it. You had it with your back. It's a different type of pain.
Oh yeah, it really is. It really is. If there was one piece of advice that stuck with you that you learned from Harley, wrestling Japan, wherever, that you could help with your newer students help them succeed in pro wrestling, what would it be?
The best advice I got is wrestling's not about you. It's about the other guy. What can I do to make you look good? Because if I'm thinking that and you're thinking that and the referee's thinking that, we're going to have a great match. Because what we're trying to do is make each other look good. And I've used that every single time I've stepped through the ropes. Okay, you're going to give me this move. How can I make it look like the best move on the planet? Okay, you're going to do this. How can I do it to make you look amazing? And then in return, you do it for me, and then we get in the back, and everybody loves it. And it's literally advice that I preach day one when a kid signs up. Before he learns to bump or lock up, I say, all right, 2 rules you need to learn right now. 1, you respect everybody in that locker room. You shake their hands. And number 2, it ain't about you. It's about the other guy. If you have that, you stay humble, you'll make it.
Facts. I like that. It's a little game that me and Benny like to play. It's called standing on business. Normally, if you are politically correct and you say neither or both, you give a consequence, but you're going to get a pass. We're just going to ask you questions.
All right.
It's a this or that question. So the very first one, and this was Benny's, Budweiser or Heineken? I said probably neither, but.
No, Heineken. Budweiser is ass. The only reason I ever drank Light was because Harley drank it and he was buying it. But any Bud product I'd rather lick a toilet bowl.
Jesus Christ. So what is your favorite beer?
My favorite's Yingling, and the reason being is because I'm from the Midwest and we didn't have it out there. Mm-hmm. So every time I'd come out east, it'd be like a treat. But now that I'm here out east, I can have it all the time. So
got you.
It's a tie. It's Yingling, Coors Light, or Miller Lite.
Okay. I'm interested in this one. Jesse or Clara?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Clara because Jesse will accept that because Clara will kick the crap out of me.
Respect it.
I love them both. But you're gun to my head. I'm choosing Clara. But I'm so happy for both of them, and I'm so happy with how far they both come, and they both work so hard.
For sure. I told Jesse that the other day. I was like, dude, I've watched both of you guys grow, and it's like, when you look up the definition of North Carolina workhorses, and I'm not just using them, I'm not putting them in the cage just for North Carolina because they go everywhere.
Yeah.
But when you look at the workhorses of North Carolina, they're on the forefront easily.
Yep. The amount of time they spend in just the outside of wrestling, the gym, the promos, the character work. I mean, they're the whole package.
For sure. Definitely agree with that. The Road Warriors or the Steiners?
Road Warriors. I'm an AWA kid, and that was my first, the Road Warriors, definitely.
Gotcha. The Fabulous Freebirds or the Von Erichs?
Freebirds, 100%. Terry Bam Gordy. Still so much from Bam Bam Gordy.
They were special, man. They were so different in every way.
Yeah. They were your true definition of heels, like we were talking about before. You know,
For sure.
they turned on the Von Erichs, and it wasn't just the Sportatorium hated them. Everyone hated
Everybody.
them.
That is true. And I just feel like they didn't care. You could
No.
literally boo them at the loudest with a speaker beside their head. They're still gonna do their thing. They're gonna dance around the ring, and they always took their time.
Yeah.
Always took their time.
And to show you how talented they are, Michael Hayes is still in the business.
Mm-hmm.
He's still prominent in WWE. You know.
Sure. He has a great mind for it.
Yeah.
And the last this or that question: Macho Man Randy Savage or Roddy Piper?
Piper. And I'm going to say Piper
You
because
got a big Piper.
the promos, he was the first loose cannon. I know Brian Pillman gets the moniker, but if you think about it, Piper was the first one to break all the rules. You know what I mean? He was the first one like, oh, this is what wrestling rules are. I'm going to break them. And was successful doing it.
I think, and I don't think people really pay attention to his work in the ring. This is more of what he said. And like, if that's what you want to go off of, that's perfectly fine because like I was explaining with Jesse, like everybody loves Ric Flair and what he did for the business. But we all know that Ric Flair, he didn't have a bunch of moves.
Right.
But it's the way that he talked and built that matchup and made you feel like, hey, this is a master at work and he's talking the most shit to this other guy. You want to see Rick get his head knocked off.
Yep.
He didn't really have to do anything in the match himself. His mouth did all the work.
And if you think about it too, Piper Valentine was the first dog collar match.
Mm-hmm.
And did that all over the Mid-Atlantic area. You know, that wasn't heard of at the time. And then Piper's Pit, you know what I mean? That's where so many things happen on Piper's Pit. Andre ripping Hogan's chain off to set up Andre Hogan for WrestleMania 3. You know, Jake the Snake coming on there and destroying people. Him hitting Snuka with the coconut. I mean, it was just – and then you take his work too, like his match with Adrian Adonis, the retirement match or whatever it was. Like him and Bret Hart with the sleeper finish. You know what I mean? Like, his matches and he's truly an icon.
Oh, for sure. I wish I could have met him. He was a really. I feel like he was just. I feel like he probably would have been a good person to be around too, and just to learn from as well.
Harley brought him in a couple times, and I actually got one of my very first major compliments was for him, where we were in Iowa, in Waterloo at the Hall of Fame show. And he was being inducted for some. It's him, Bret Hart, $1 Million Man, and Larry the Axe Hennig were the guys being inducted. And Harley, I was a heel. And after the match, I walked up to him and I said, you know, Mr. Piper, do you have any advice for me? How was it? And he gave me some advice. Then he put his hand on my shoulder. He goes, kid, you're the second greatest heel I've ever met. I said, really? He goes, yeah, watching you definitely are the second best heel. I said, well, thank you. He goes, of course, I'm the first heel. Greatest heel. And I was like, yes, sir, you are. But that was like a huge compliment for me at the time. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. That holds water because he is an ultimate heel, you know?
Oh, for sure. If you had to say, what was your favorite match in Ring of Honor?
My favorite match, I have two of them. The first one would be on my 40th birthday in Lowell, Massachusetts. It was me and Brian Malonis against the Briscoe brothers for the Honor Tag Team Championships. And it's great for a couple of reasons. One, it was my birthday. Two, it was with the Briscoes, who I miss Jamin every single day. I love them to death. But three, we were supposed to main event the show, but Chicken's wife went into labor. So they put us on first because he had to get done. He literally got done with the match, got into a car, drove to the airport, flew home to see his child to get born. You know?
Did he make it on time?
What's that?
Did he make it on time?
He made it in time. Yep, he sure did. And then the other thing was God got involved. You know, it was our first time doing something. We were supposed to do something with God before COVID hit. So it's like just all these things happened. It was a lot of fun. And then my second favorite was the bar fight without honor against Vinny, and it was me and Malonis against Vinny and Silas. And I remember that because that was the first time I ever went viral on the internet for taking darts to my back.
Oh, man.
And that's why I tell kids nowadays, going viral doesn't pay your bills, because everyone wants those clicks and they want to go viral. Well, you don't get money for that. Trust me, I know I was viral. I didn't get any extra money.
People always ask me, and it's about to sound silly, well, like my favorite WrestleCade moment is, and I tell them all the time, me and Beer City. I know you know what I'm talking about.
You got to remind me, what was it?
Oh, so it was me and J.R. Miller.
Yep.
You had just put J.R. Miller out. I come running at you, Bandera, and I went freaking flying.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yes. You went so high.
Dude, I was so nervous because I was like, I've jumped out of the ring plenty of times, but right then in that second, I was like, oh shit. It was insane.
Guys trying to make each other look good.
Man, I'm telling you, it was a fun time, man. It's a fun time. Dude. With wrestling, I miss it, but I know right now, it was definitely the best thing for me to step away, especially when I got sick. Man, like it was just crazy to me. Like I was explaining to Jesse, it happened so quick. Like I said, I stopped wrestling in August. And I was down in October.
Yeah.
And scariest things in my life, but I mean, I just doing the podcasting, and I'm really trying my best to help indie wrestling be even better. Like everybody that's doing the legwork in the ring is cool, but just hearing the stories in the back scenes of it, because WWE, they're on Netflix, they did Unreal. So like they open the curtain to everything. Like we know what goes on, but now everybody knows everything now, so it's just like, why not get everybody just to tell their story? That's on the indies. You know what? Because I mean, this podcast thing, it's huge, and anybody can hear these stories. So it's like, you want to hear anything about Beer, anything about Clara coming soon, anything about Beer City, click this episode and just hear the great stories that we can all tell that people don't hear about, and get knowledge. We're always riding the shows for hours. Why not pop in the pot? Me and Jesse drive to New York and Rhode Island, listen to the podcast the entire way.
Yep.
It's just my thing. And
you got to look too. Look at your health. I mean, how much weight are you down now? You're looking great. You're in the gym. You got Becky in the gym with you. Like you're helping other people get healthy. And then with this too, you're giving people a platform to further along their product, because we are products. Beer City Bruiser is a product, but able to do this with a guy that you understand the wrestling business, because your body might have not been able to hold up, but your brain has, your mind has. You still have a great mind. You still know, so talking to us and helping us with get our product out there, you know what I mean? Still a great value.
For sure. I appreciate that, boss. And that's why I just wanted to make sure to bring you on here and just let you know, everything that you are doing right now is going to always hold dear for me, because you always you just said you never meet with malice or in a negative way. Like I will go to you, like as soon as the match would end, I don't care, like, hey, where's he at? So I can talk to him. I know he's watching. What you got for me? And I can say, positively, you always have something to say, because I needed to know what could have been better. You would tell me all day, great thing, great match, but hey, if you did this that way, it would have like put on the crowd so much better. Like they would have reacted so much more. Instead of keeping them here, you could have had them here. You should just left it.
Yep.
Bring them back. And I always respected that, and I appreciate it, man. So,
and I know always applied it, and it always worked. You know what I mean? And then when you came to me for something else, it's like, all right, here's something new. Mm-hmm. Because I still do that. I still, after the Texas Death Match, I asked Jesse, hey, what do you think? What do we need to tighten up? I have so much love for C.W. Anderson, because he's a guy that I can go in the locker room and he's not going to bullshit me, mm-hmm. And he'll be like, why'd you do this? And it's like, fuck, I thought I had a great match, but then he's right, because I'm still learning. The minute you stop learning, quit.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ric Flair said that a long time ago, and hey, if he says that, as long as he was around, dude, then we should listen. Simple as that.
I got that we'd go back with Harley. We'd like, he'd get to the school at like 10:30, and training wasn't until 5. So I'd show up around 10:30, mm-hmm. and he'd either walk us through stuff, or we'd watch him his old matches or whatever. But we'd watch his old matches, and he would critique himself. Mm-hmm. He would be like, I don't know why I did that. I should have done it this way. And I remember sitting there going, this is one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet, and he's correcting himself. Who am I? You know what I mean? Like, who am I to have an attitude? if anybody deserves to have an attitude, it's this guy. And here we are watching a match of his that happened 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I should have done this differently. If I would have done this differently, I would have gotten this. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. It makes sense, man. I think that's just the evolution of wrestling and where it's going. I think there's a lot of kids right now that have such an old school style, and I'm glad that it's coming back. Zuka King, he has such a laid back style, old school style, and I feel like that gets over better than the guys that can do it 50s.
Yep.
Easily.
And I always tell the kids, because Harley also told us that you have to evolve with wrestling, because wrestling's going to evolve. Mm-hmm. So I always tell the kids nowadays, you can hit a cool move. It's what you do in between the cool moves. That's
build up to it.
One of those guys. Zuka's got some cool stuff he does, but it's what he does in between.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a true heel. I've wrestled. I hurt my ribs real bad. We had a double shot with AML, and I wrestled Brett in the first match. I hurt my ribs real bad. In the second match, I was against Zuka, and I said, Zuka, man, my ribs are screwed. You know, he took care of me the whole time because he knew how to work, and he knew how to work the crowd, and he had a bunch of heat, and he doesn't have an attitude. And like you said, he's that old school mentality, but he also evolved. You know, he'll hit a decent move, but then he'll stand up and Zuka, and he'll, promo on somebody,
And that's all it takes, and one thing about him, you're not gonna get the full menu,
right.
And you don't need to. And that was so I learned that from Kozone, but I learned that more from you because like doing like the frog splash and stuff like it's like you just sat me down when they like tell you don't gotta do that every single time. And it's okay to do. See, when me and you had that conversation, I started missing it. Because people know, like, hey, if I hit that, then it's over with. But what happens when I don't hit it? Then somebody has a chance.
Yep.
And when that clicked with me, immediately I knew. I said, okay, it makes sense. And sometimes that's what we need as performers. Somebody that's on the outside looking in, that's going to be Switzerland through the whole situation. Again, it's not about. And I'm not going to say a name, but I've seen you in locker rooms with people that you don't really rock with like that, and you had a reason to possibly have attitude with them, but you always kept it wrestling and respectful and let them know, hey, you could have did this better. Regardless of how they felt about it right then and there, they had to respect that because you never had to give them that knowledge, but you did.
Like I said, I tell everybody it's not personal. If you want me to personally attack you, I can find out about your past. You know what I mean? It's not hard. Everybody's on the internet,
Exactly.
But a wrestling locker room's not meant for that. And wrestling's not meant for that. Wrestling's meant to be good and fun. And an escape, especially in the world we live in today. I tell all the guys, fans are coming to us for a 2-hour escape from reality because it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. The world sucks nowadays. You know what I mean? There's so much fear and anger. And when people come to a show, they want to be able to just release from that. And if we can give, as performers, if we can give them 2 hours of not thinking of the real world, and I've always held that close. I had a kid one time. I was real hurt, and I was real sick, and I try to always give time to fans. And a kid came up to me, and I was actually on my way to the ER because I was that sick. And he stopped me as my wife's walking me, and he goes, "Man, I just want to let you know how much you mean to me." He says, "I had a tumor removed from my brain. And I listened to you on the Jericho podcast before I went under. And then when I came out, I listened to you again, and you're so inspirational. I want to thank you." And I literally looked at my wife and go, this guy's facing a life or death surgery, and he's listening to me. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of, I know I'm not feeling good right now. I know we're on the way to the ER, but I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to take a picture with that kid because guess what? He was facing the scariest thing of his life. And he chose to listen to me on a podcast. That's powerful.
I definitely agree with that. I think that what people, baby girl, people don't take into account of that and understand that the moments that wrestling creates, like for me personally, it's always been something in my life. My grandfather passed in his 90s, but this man, and I got family that will tell you that this is the truth. He watched every bit of wrestling up until he loved wrestling. Yep. Raw, SmackDown, AEW when it came around to like he loved wrestling. Back to when the pay-per-views came around, like my mom never really bought that. But I knew that he was running at his house, and me, my brother, my cousins were at his home because he's watching wrestling. We can go see the pay-per-views because now we can just go online and see whatever happens at the PLEs. But then even they wouldn't give you everything. You can see like little still clips. So it was always a blessing. I wish he never got to see me wrestle, but he knew about it. But it was amazing, man. And again, it's the moments.
Yep, and those are memories you'll have for the rest of your life.
Always. Well, man, I just want to thank you, dude. This is really good, and I think that people can learn a lot from you. And I think even if it's just attending, and I feel like they should attend your training classes, but just listening to you speak when you're wrestling AML and your agent, just actually take the time to listen to you, and they'll learn a lot because I know I have.
Thank you.
So I really just want to say thank you for today, and I think a lot of people, just like the Jesse interview and the Brian interview, they all loved it. I just wanted to make sure to take time to AML because you guys already have the spotlight. Let's be real. Whether it's just a show that you do on a monthly basis, WrestleCade, but you also have so much good homegrown talent there now, and the coaching. I feel like more people, and again, people can call my podcast what it is. I just want to see everybody win.
Yeah.
And if this is going to help somebody, by all means, I'm going to keep doing it. If it's only 5 people listening, guess what? If those 5 people are going to be better, I'm good with that.
And those 5 people will tell 5 more, and they'll tell 5 more, and that's how you grow.
Always.
Because you have a good product.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. And again, like I told everybody else, I knew this is going to be a good one, and I'd definitely like to get you back on here. So just keep doing your thing. Anything you want to close with? What you got coming up next?
Let's see. Saturday, March 7th, I'm in Morganton, North Carolina for NAWA.
Okay.
Want to be a pro wrestler? AMLwrestling.com/training. Come on down. We will teach you to be a professional wrestler. We have classes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yes,
so
sir.
Come on down, and we're right here in Winston-Salem. And like tonight, we got training going on right now. I'm actually going to go out there and show these kids what's up.
I don't want to hold you up anymore. I appreciate you. I love you, buddy. I hope to see you soon.
Love you too.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
All right, we're out.